Hey guys, coming at you today with a recipe that my entire family has been asking for their birthdays this year, a keto Dairy Queen ice cream cake. So, let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, thanks for joining me. My name's Alycia and I'm a pastry chef with a sweet tooth. And I'm here to show you all the tips and tricks on how to make the best keto recipes possible. So if you enjoy my recipes, please hit the subscribe button down there, give the video a thumbs up, leave me a comment, share with all your friends and family. It all helps my channel grow and to bring you new keto recipes every Saturday. Today, a recipe that I don't sell to anybody except for my family because it is a little bit involved. It doesn't take a lot of cook time in general, but there's a lot of waiting around, freezing, and stuff like that. So it does take a whole day for me to make it. It may take 2 days for you to make it because you need 2 kind of frozen ice cream makers. So if you don't have 2 inserts for your Cuisinart or you don't have 2 KitchenAid ice cream bowls, you're gonna have to wait a whole 24 hours to make your second batch of ice cream. But I have 2 because I had a bakery and I had one at home, so I bought a second one. But it is totally worth it to take the time to make this delicious keto Dairy Queen ice cream cake. A regular ice cream cake, I've found out, isn't a Dairy Queen one. Like, it's usually does have cake in it. I've never had an actual ice cream cake with cake in it. So I went off of like what I remember as a kid having for an ice cream cake. That's what we're doing today. So we're doing the chocolate ice cream, some fudge and cookies in the middle, vanilla ice cream, and then the outside frosting. We got to start with making the ice cream bases because those have to chill down before we can even churn them, and we can get all the other stuff done while those are chilling. I'm not going to go through why I'm using the ingredients I'm using or like substitutions and stuff if there are any because I already have videos on all this. So right here, I will link my vanilla ice cream recipe that I did last year. We're doing the exact same recipe as that. 1.25 cups of low carb milk going into a pot, along with 1.25 cups of heavy cream. That is going in the pot as well. And then we need to add 80 grams of allulose. The sweetness level of this is up to you, but you do need the allulose and a little bit of a monk fruit erythritol or just an erythritol in general, because if you use all allulose, your ice cream will be too soft. Here I said I wasn't going to explain things, and there I go explaining. It's like in my nature to tell you all the things. So 80 grams of allulose, or about a half cup, 3 tablespoons, which I think that was the third one, of an erythritol. I am going to put in a vanilla bean. My vanilla beans are kind of old, so they're super hard. So I am just going to slice it the best I can. I don't think I'm going to be able to scrape it because it's so like hard, but you'll still get some vanilla flavor out of it. I bought them. I might as well use them. So we're just going to bring that to a light simmer. And while that's going, we can get the rest of our ingredients. We're obviously going to need some vanilla extract, which I got here. I'm going to use some of my French vanilla stevia just to give it a little extra sweetness in there. I didn't mention, I'm making this cake for my mom. So I'm going to make a big cake for her birthday with the specifications that she wants. So she loves my caramel macchiato ice cream bars. So I'm going to incorporate that into this ice cream cake. I'm also going to make a little ice cream cake because you're actually going to not need all the ice cream this makes to make the one big ice cream cake. So I'm going to make myself a little one to cut in and try for you guys. The only other thing we need to measure out is our water and gelatin. So you need a 1/2 tablespoon of cold water and a 1/2 teaspoon of gelatin. Oh, and of course eggs. Of course we got to put eggs in our ice cream. There are ice cream recipes that don't contain eggs, but you want the extra protein, fat, all that goodness, and it makes it super creamy when you have that low carb milk in there. So 1/2 teaspoon of gelatin right onto the water. Give that a stir every once in a while just to make sure your sweetener is dissolving. I'm doing 2 eggs. Really, the amount of eggs is up to you. I've done recipes with just yolks also. I just hate having egg whites left over. Give that a good whisk. Well broken up in there. You can also do both at the same time. If you have two pots, you can get your chocolate ice cream on at the same time. I just don't have enough, capacity to do that while I'm filming. But when I was making my cakes, my ice cream cakes upstairs for my family, I had both the chocolate and the vanilla going at the same time. I'm going to start getting the measurements weighed out at least. I normally only do 1 egg for the vanilla, so this will be for the chocolate ice cream. I had a feeling I was going to mix that up. Always add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt to your ice cream too. It enhances the flavor quite a bit. So I do have another pot, so I'm going to start getting this going. 1 1/4 cup. I'm going to do 120 grams of allulose. You can always do the same amount of allulose and add some like extra stevia, whatever you'd like. There's also the flavored stevias if you want to make like a caramel one, caramel chocolate. Same 3 tablespoons of erythritol. Do a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. A little bit extra in the chocolate just to give it better flavor. And 44 grams of cocoa powder. I did make an Oreo ice cream cake. I'll insert a picture here. I don't think we took a picture of the inside, but I literally made it look like a big Oreo. I did chocolate, vanilla, chocolate for the ice cream, and I used dark cocoa powder for the ice cream and for the frosting on the outside. It turned out delicious. And then that's what started the whole thing with the whole family asking for ice cream cakes. Well, it started with me making my ice cream cake for my birthday and my mother-in-law being like, I want that for my birthday. You do want to sift the cocoa powder. I've made the mistake of not doing that before, and it's a mess. So this is 1/3 cup. I believe it's 1/3 cup. If you pack it in, it probably would be. I didn't pack it. I scooped and leveled. That's why I always weigh. Our milk is almost to a simmer, so we'll start tempering our egg in a minute. This is going into the pot with the milk, sweetener, salt, and get that going too. Now you are tempering your egg. You can put it back on and cook it to 145. I have found that most of the time it's already up to that temperature. We're scalding all our milk, cream, sugar, all that stuff. So I don't find it too big a deal to not cook it again on the heat, because that just gives you a chance to scramble your eggs. Because when we're almost at a boil, we're gonna be at like 200 degrees. And just tempering this, it's gonna be back to that, 145, so. Now we're at 190. We are at a small simmer. I saw some bubbles coming up. We're just going to temper our eggs. Splash. Whisk, whisk, whisk. Once you're hot, add it back in. Make sure you scrape your bowl out. You are going to add this back into the bowl. So if you had any scrambled egg bits, you want them out. Now I'm going to put my chocolate ice cream onto the stove. So we're going to add in our gelatin puck. We no longer need our whisk. We put it in the chocolate and get it whisking up. I just go by taste on my French vanilla stevia. Do like a tablespoon of vanilla extract. Give it a stir. Taste it for sweetness, vanilla flavor. Now strain. Looks good. I'm going to keep a spatula in it, put it in the fridge, and stir it every once in a while until it gets down to refrigerator temperature, about 40 degrees. You can make all this the day ahead. You can make your ice cream bases, cookie, and all that. Place plastic wrap right down on top of the mixture. Chill it overnight if you want to do that. It's nice that you can do a lot of it ahead of time. So I'm just stirring this. You're still going to strain this, so it doesn't matter too much, but you don't want too many cocoa clumps. If you don't sift your cocoa, you get a lot more clumps. So definitely sift your cocoa. We're going to do the same amount of gelatin and water. I don't know if I've mentioned it in other videos, so I'll mention it here. I do the gelatin the same reason a lot of companies put xanthan gum or Terra gum or locust bean gum, or carrageenan is also a gum, in their ice creams. It gives a super smooth and creamy ice cream. I just find that grass-fed beef gelatin is a better option a lot of times, and it's easier to add than adding a xanthan gum or Terra gum, because usually you gotta like blend it in order to get it fully mixed in. And this is easy just to melt in your ice cream base. And the only other thing we're adding to that is a little bit of vanilla extract and liquid stevia, which I'm just gonna do regular liquid stevia. Okay, our chocolate base is simmering. Give this a whisk again. Same deal. once you're tempered, done with the whisks, your strainer again, add your gelatin puck. I'm not going to add a ton of stevia because I added a little bit extra allulose and vanilla. I have just about every flavor of ice cream on my channel already, so you can make any flavor ice creams you want for this ice cream cake. I have cherries Garcia, I have chocolate mint, I got my caramel macchiato, which is coffee and caramel. It's for my no churn ice cream, but you can use the same kind of measurements for a regular ice cream. Some espresso powder and some caramel extract. Once your gelatin's in there, strain it. This is going into the fridge to chill, just like the vanilla base. And while that's chilling, we can get on to making our hot fudge and our cookies. Okay, onto the cookie. I am going to preheat my oven to 350 degrees. While you're making this, you can also make a big batch of my sweetened condensed milk because you need that to make our frosting and our fudge. I always keep a big thing of it in my fridge or my freezer. When I run out, I make a big batch, freeze some, so I can pull it out when I need it. Now this took me a little while to figure out. This is a variation on my graham cracker recipe. So I'll link that up there if you want to just use vanilla or like some golden graham cracker cookies for the middle of this. I just ended up leaving out the cinnamon and the oat fiber, and I had to mess around with the sweetness level because I had to add more sweetener to counterbalance the cocoa powder in the recipe. And I took really bad notes, so I really hope that this turns out. You can also use one of my favorite cookies just to crumble on top of ice cream is the High Key double chocolate brownie cookie, I think it's called. That's like the perfect kind of like cookie crumble if you want to just buy something instead of making your own. 1 tablespoon of coconut flour, 2 tablespoons of egg white protein, which is supposed to be 12 grams. Almost never is. Egg white protein is really hard to measure because it's so light. 2 tablespoons of dark cocoa. You can use regular, should be 12 grams also. I also made, this is a really small batch. You have more than enough for inside and to decorate the outside. So you can always double this and have it, and like you can keep it for a really long time. It stays good on your countertop even. Super crispy, crunchy chocolate crumbs. Keep it for whatever you want. 36 grams of, I use golden monk fruit. I just think it tastes good in this. You do need some kind of granular erythritol. Allulose will keep this completely soft. It won't ever get crispy on you. So a little less than 3 tablespoons. Just gonna give that a mix. And just a pinch of xanthan gum, 1/8 of a teaspoon. And then the only other ingredients is just butter and vanilla. This is by no means an Oreo recipe because I'm still working on that. I've done like 7 tests and still have not figured out the perfect keto Oreo. Okay, we need 35 grams of butter. We're gonna melt that and add a little bit of vanilla extract to it. You can use a very small sheet pan for this. I don't have any in the bakery. This is the only size I have. And a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. We're already on spatulas. You basically are looking for a pretty dry, sandy consistency. Make sure you're really well mixed up in there. A really good mix. Make sure you got all the butter incorporated evenly. Spread it out. Spread it out first because once you start patting it down, it's hard to get it thinner. It'll like pack down and not be able to get moved. You don't want the edges too thin, otherwise it will burn on the edge. Okay, once they're all pretty patted down and even, doesn't matter the shape because you're breaking all this up anyways and crumbling it. Basically, you just don't want super thin edges. It will burn. You don't want it super thick in the middle, otherwise it will not cook and get crispy in the middle and get crispy around the edges. Okay, we're gonna put this in only for 5 minutes. That should be enough to get it crispy. We're gonna do 3 minutes, turn it, and another 2 minutes. Okay, that was 5 minutes. I'm gonna put in for 1 more minute. Usually you can smell the cocoa cooking and that's when you know it's done. I do have a pan in there that I forgot about that's underneath this pan, so it might have reduced the heating a little bit of the cookie I'm probably going to shoot a whole other video while I'm waiting on that stuff to cool, but I wanted to talk about the fudge part of this and the outside coating. Okay, I'm going to call it done there. Don't touch it until it's completely cooled because it doesn't get hard until it's like room temperature. So for the fudge recipe, I normally use semi-sweet chocolate. I'm using milk chocolate today, 3/4 of a cup basically, or 4.5 ounces. My normal fudge recipe is semi-sweet chocolate and 3.5 ounces. When there's more milk solids, it makes the fudge looser, so you got to add a little bit more chocolate into it. You need 7 ounces of my sweetened condensed milk, so a cup minus 2 tablespoons. I did this without butter and it's been working fine if you want to cut down some calories and fat in your fudge recipe. We are adding a tablespoon of butter to this also, so we'll see if this works. I've used it for my no churn ice cream and it worked fine. I have not tried it for my fudge recipe yet, so we'll see if we have to add a little bit more butter. If it's too thick, we may need to. And that's just gonna sit on the side for now. It's easier to make it right before you do your cake. That way you don't have to reheat it again. I'm gonna add a 1/2 ounce or 1 tablespoon of butter to my chocolate. 1 tablespoon. And then for the frosting on the outside, I looked up regular Dairy Queen hacks for like making an ice cream cake from Dairy Queen. It said they used a stabilized whipped cream, which I'm like, okay, sweet. I've done that multiple times with keto ingredients, so we can make a stabilized whipped cream and just put it on the outside of our cake. I didn't like the texture of it. I don't know if it's our sweetener in general or if it's something else that happened in the process of making the stabilized whipped cream. If it was like just too much gelatin compared to like what Dairy Queen uses, I don't know. But I thought about it. I'm like, why don't I just use my no churn ice cream recipe? Because it is delicious when it's frozen. It's super soft and like velvety and creamy, like I think of when I think of a Dairy Queen ice cream cake. So that's what I use for the frosting on this ice cream cake. That's why you need a big batch of my sweetened condensed milk. This is a double batch, so I'll link up my sweetened condensed milk. I'm just gonna use this since it's already here and weigh out 8 ounces, which should be this whole cup. Here we go. So that's ready for our no churn ice cream. We're gonna make the coffee caramel ice cream on the outside of this keto ice cream cake. So I'll meet you back here when it's time to start churning some ice cream. Okay, it's been a couple of hours. Normally when I put my ice cream base into the fridge to chill, I put it on an ice bath. I don't have an ice maker down here, so I don't have the ice available to me, so it did take a while, and I ended up putting it into the freezer and kept stirring it, off and on, at least the vanilla one. So we're gonna start with the vanilla ice cream in the churner. We'll make the fudge sauce and we'll crumble up our cookies while that's going. So this is just gonna be according to your manufacturer's instructions on your ice cream maker. Okay, so that took me a minute because I literally have never used this one before, but I'm gonna get that poured in and then we'll get back to making the fudge and the cookies, and I'll show you the pan we're gonna use to put this in. It's always easier if you have a bowl with a spout on it to do this. I don't have any in the bakery. I'm using a springform pan. This is the easiest way to go because you just warm up the outside and you undo it and you can get it right off the bottom. Now, I'm gonna make a second little one so that I can taste it because I can't cut into my mom's birthday cake. So I am gonna do one in just a 6-inch round. So this one, I have this cake round that's the size of the actual cake, and then I'm gonna tape it to the bigger round because we are gonna pipe some decoration around the sides. And I already did that for my small guy. I put a little piece of parchment paper because this is for like a wedding cake stack, so there's a hole in it. That's already taped down. I'm gonna tape this circle down, try to get it in the middle. And I'll be ready for that. You do not need parchment in your springform pan. I'm gonna do it here just to be safe, but I don't think I'm gonna need it there either. As long as you just warm it up with a warm towel, it should pop right out. Here's to hoping. Okay, we just gotta make the fudge for this. We already got our chocolate and butter. We're gonna heat up our sweetened condensed milk to like 150 degrees. We're gonna pour it right over here and let it sit and then whisk it. You see it's starting to warm up. Give it a little whisk. My microwave's on 50% power, so not to overheat it. Basically, it's gonna get really liquidy. That should be good. I'll pour it over. Cover it, let it sit. Okay, let's give this a stir. So you're essentially making a ganache, but one that won't harden in the freezer. So the first time I made this, I did just a ganache filling and a ganache coating to decorate it. It bloomed and cracked and was super hard. So I'm like, duh, I'll use a fudge recipe. And with the allulose, it makes it so it doesn't harden in the freezer all the way. So it's going to be nice and melty still and perfect for our ice cream. So I got my cookie in my bag here. I'm going to give it a beat with a rolling pin. I'll do a little initial break. You could also use a food processor. I just don't like dirtying a bunch more dishes if I don't have to. Ice cream is just getting done in there. I have my chocolate ice cream base in the freezer, getting all the way chilled. So I usually do 2 bags, one with like some crumbs, like bigger crumbs in it, and then one with dust to like decorate the outside of the cake. So I don't get it completely pulverized in there. You want some chunks and hunks and stuff. I gotta do it a little bit more. I think all my sifters are essentially the same size. It'd be better if I had some like bigger hold sifters. Really hope this works in this mixer. I've only ever made this upstairs because it's all for family members. It's pretty warm down here too, which does not help when you're trying to make ice cream. Should be good. Just leave it like that and you can use the crumbs, and then whatever dust is left will settle to the bottom. So we're all ready to go. We're just waiting on our ice cream to be done. Well, it looks like I'm not even gonna be able to finish this ice cream cake today because I put my second ice cream bowl in the freezer like over a day and a half ago, and I just pulled it out of the freezer. Like we have a big stand-up freezer for all our meat, and it's not even solid. It's sloshing in there. So this is gonna take me 2 days to make also. Vanilla ice cream's almost done. I put our 2 pans for the ice cream cake into the freezer just so that they're nice and cold. So when we put the ice cream in there, it doesn't melt too much because it is warm in here. Since I can't make my chocolate ice cream today, I'm going to wrap it in plastic wrap. And set it right down on top and put it back into the fridge. I also have the sweetened condensed milk measured out for the coffee no-churn ice cream for my mom's cake, and then this is for my little cake. I was just going to do a half batch. So wrap those up, get them in the fridge. We are still going to use our fudge and our cookies, and we'll get it all ready to go, and then we'll just have to put the second layer on tomorrow, freeze, and then frost it. Okay, our ice cream just has a couple more minutes left. Okay, I'm about to call it. It's going up over the paddle. My bowl is almost defrosted, so I'm just going to get it into the pan and frozen. Pretty sure I did 16 ounces for each layer. It's a little bit more soupy than I'd like still, but normally there'd be ice cream all over the scraper. This is what it should look like. Okay, that is 16 ounces. I'm going to throw this in the freezer. Into this one, I'm going to do 8 ounces. Gotta love when I make this over and over again, and then when I go to shoot a video, it doesn't work. Always how it goes. Okay, I'm going to put this into the freezer to chill for a while. I'll see you back here when we got to put the fudge on those ice cream layers. Okay, I think our ice cream layer is finally set enough to put a layer of fudge, cookie fudge. If your ice cream is churned enough and solid enough, you can pretty much do it right away. Like, you don't even need to wait. So let's get on to getting the fudge on these guys. I'm gonna do mine first. You just want a thin layer of fudge all over the top. It's gonna be hard to do with this little cake pan. If your ice cream's solid enough, your fudge won't be as hard and it'll spread out better. You can have your fudge warm if your ice cream is solid, but I was worried about the ice cream melting, so I didn't want to reheat the fudge. Gotta work quickly and I'm getting all flustered, of course. All the way out to the edge. Some cookie crumbs in there. You want a solid layer. Now I could probably heat up the fudge a little bit more to put it on the top of this. How it goes. If one thing goes wrong, it usually causes other things because things aren't working the right way in the first place. Okay, Put this back in the freezer, and then tomorrow we'll have to put the chocolate layer on top. Now for the full one that I'm doing, I want to be able to weigh out and figure out macros, because I have not figured out any macros on this. I believe what I did was 6 ounces of fudge in the middle layer. So I did 3 ounces cookie, 3 ounces. It's probably pretty much what I have left. So I'm gonna heat this up a tiny bit, not a lot, because I just want to be able to pour it real quick, get the cookies on. Some of it is completely solid from touching the ice cream, so if you weren't doing the small guy, you'd have 6 ounces for the middle, and then a couple of ounces to decorate around the top layer of the ice cream cake. 50% power whenever you're heating up the fudge, and it's just a little bit warmer, so it's gonna flow easy onto the cake. And I believe I measured out the cookie crumbs at 1.5 ounces for the middle layer. I also think my springform pan upstairs is smaller than this one. So this is going to be a bigger, wider cake and not so tall of a cake. And that's why I don't have enough to go all the way out to the edge of this. Plus that I'm using some for my cake also. So that's it for now. Tomorrow we will churn the chocolate ice cream, layer it, and make our no churn ice cream and frost the cake. Hey guys, I realized as I was editing this video that it was going to be way too long of a video to get the entire ice cream cake made. So make sure you tune in next Saturday for the finished product, putting the second layer on, getting it out of the pans, all the tips and tricks on how to get it out and how to decorate these ice cream cakes. I will have all the ingredients listed below in the description box, along with a blog post to the full recipe. If you just can't wait to make this for yourself or for a loved one for the summertime, it is definitely a hit at every party. I've made 2 more since I've shot this video. If you enjoyed this mess of a video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you hit the bell icon and click all notifications so that you get notified when the video comes up next week. Subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, I'll be back with more keto recipe videos. Bye guys. Happy keto ice cream making.